Hi everyone, my name is Joseph. I want to have a quick discussion about Digimon Liberator. So this week, actually I think just yesterday, today is Sunday, so on Saturday, Bandai Namco announced the new project that they'll be working on after the ending of Digimon Seekers. So if anyone's unaware, Seekers was always planned to be lasting just for 1 year. It did start of April of 2023, and more than likely it's going to be ending around that time period of 2024. Currently in Digimon Seekers, we are in Chapter 4, and that's either going to be the last chapter, or if not, that would be the last main chapter. We might be getting like some sort of epilogue or mini chapter after that, but I am fairly certain that we're definitely in the end game of the story at this point. So what this means is that once Seekers ends, is Digimon over? No. So Bandai revealed that for the next portion of their plans for Digimon is that they're going to start focusing a bit more on the card game. But so before I continue, I'll be completely honest with everyone. I do not play the card game, nor do I collect any cards as well. I used to when I was younger, but I stopped buying cards of any kind once I entered high school, and I never collected any kind of cards once I entered college and finished college and everything like that. So essentially what I'm trying to say is I don't play card games, be it Digimon, Yu-Gi-Oh, Pokemon, etc., Magic the Gathering. Despite that though, I am still excited about this new project. Why? Well, specifically I started this video with Digimon Liberator, or rather by saying that title, that name, Digimon Liberator. So what is that specifically? So correct me if I'm wrong, but to my understanding, Digimon Liberator isn't the card game itself, but that's the name of the web comic that's going to be starting to serialize at the end of Digimon Seekers. So again, around April 2024. Bandai put spring, I believe, is what they put specifically. And the reason why I'm actually excited about this, I'm not going to lie, at first I was a bit bummed out because I thought Digimon Seekers, what made it so cool was the fact that Bandai Namco was willing to take the franchise in a direction that most other properties don't go in, right? Usually when things get a book adaptation or a book companion piece, I can't really think of many TV shows or movies where that's, rather movies adaptations, but rather movies where they start off as movies, but then they switch over to the book format. Unfortunately, the only time that does seem to occur is when studios want to change the story. Like a really good example about this would be Assassin's Creed, Desmond's story, where apparently the majority of his story was finished via comic books. Those aren't novels specifically, but another specific example I do have with novels is Halo. So Halo's story was ended through, well, actually through both comics and novels. And yeah, so I've never heard of an anime property though specifically that started off as anime, but then transferred over to a different property besides well, anime, manga, anime. That's obviously quite common, but I don't think I've ever heard of a anime that had a manga. I'm thinking of V-Tamer that also now has a light novel as well. And as the community points it out, Digimon Seekers word count is actually quite hefty. And if Bandai Namco put everything into one piece, a physical piece, won't be a light novel, but actually the size of a novel now, which I personally do appreciate, just because again, obviously I'm biased. I do like to read, and I know I'm in the minority when it comes to that. I know a lot of Digimon fans are disappointed with Seekers being a light novel, and I felt that disappointment for a little bit when I heard about Digimon Liberator, it being a web comic. I felt like that was a step backwards, just because personally for me, again, when I think of when I think of literary prowess, web comics aren't at the top of my list, right? It'll typically be like, novels, novels, short stories, plays, poetry, and so forth, right? But I'm not a stickler. I'm not an elitist. For me, when it comes to literature, I do include movies, television shows, games into that category as well, because of scripts, right? The story comes from a writer, a playwright. It doesn't just come from the actor's mind or from the director's mind. So, but even with that being said, even when I do include the definition, when I expand the definition of literature, again, webcomics aren't at the top of my list. But so that's why I wasn't really too excited about Digimon Liberator at first. But thankfully, I do communicate with the Digimon community's Discord, and a member there explained how in Japan webcomics typically don't mean specifically webcomics like the way that the West thinks of it, and also how in Japan webcomics are a lot more they're taken a lot more seriously versus the West. And they also listed off some examples like One Punch Man, which I have heard, and I actually did start watching the anime a little bit, and I did like what I've seen so far, and I've heard great things about that story as well. The only reason why I didn't finish the anime was just because I'm not really an anime individual, but I do want to finish it eventually. And they also listed off another example as well that I was aware of, but unfortunately at the moment I can't think off the top of my mind. And I did some personal light research as well into web comics in Japan, and it's looking like when they say web comics, it's looking like it's going to be more like a manga, an online manga. And again, the more information I found out about web comics in Japan and different kinds of examples of web comics from Japan, the less my worries and concerns were at the forefront. They started dissipating, and the more excited I started becoming. And I did watch the trailer a couple more times. The first time I saw the trailer, unfortunately, Bandai took the trailer down, so I had to watch like the 10-minute video where there was some hosts talking about the material. I was impatient. I was fast forwarding because I don't understand Japanese, and by the time I found the trailer, I felt like I think that impacted my opinion and my mood. I later on, someone shared the trailer, just the trailer by itself of Digimon Liberator. It's about 50 seconds, give or take. And after seeing that 2 more times, I came to start not 2 more times consecutively. I watched it, and then later on, after learning more about webcomics and doing some research about that, I watched it again, and I definitely am very much excited for Digimon Liberator now at this point. They revealed, they being Bandai Namco, they did reveal, it looks like the cast that's going to be part of Liberator. They all look really cool so far. We only know really how the main protagonist looks with his partner Digimon. The partner Digimon, we don't have the name for them yet, but they look really awesome. It's a combination of a dinosaur with a bird. Kind of like Gamamon a little bit. Like Gamamon's obviously a dinosaur-like individual, but also some, I would argue, some dragon-like properties. In this instance, it's some dinosaur-like properties, but with bird properties rather than dragon. That Digimon looks really cool. I'm also really hoping, I know a lot of individuals in the community are a bit concerned about the Vital Bracelets because no new BE memories were announced. I did look at the frame that they posted, the still for the and the trailer for Digimon Liberator. They did post a still that had the protagonist and all the other protagonists as well. But the one with the main protagonist with his partner Digimon, the dinosaur bird Digimon, I tried to look at his wrists to see if maybe he had like a watch-like device, but unfortunately, I'm hoping maybe he is wearing long sleeves. I'm hoping maybe that's just covering it. But honestly, I think Bandai Namco should really go forward from here with just using no more Digivices, a separate device, but just have them being watch-like apparatuses. I didn't pronounce that correctly. Just having them being watch-like devices, I think would really help with keeping the Vital Bracelet alive, and also to keep interjecting it with new characters as well, especially new Digimon characters. These are all, some of Digimon have been, let me start that over. Some of the Digimon that were revealed in the trailer, Digimon Liberator, they already existed. They were present before this, but there's a handful of new Digimon. I think there's about 9 or so new Digimon. And to be frank, again, that new Digimon from Liberator, they look really cool. I would love to have that Digimon on my BE, especially as someone who started reading Ghost. Before I got into the Vital Bracelet, before I started watching Ghost Game, and even I could recognize that Gamamon looked cool. Even though I didn't know Gamamon's personality, I was like, oh wow, Gamamon looks cool. And then the same thing with Angoromon, I thought he looked cool. Jellymon, I'm not gonna lie, I was like, oh, I'm not a big fan of aquatic Digimon typically, but I was neutral towards Jellymon. But I still thought that for the majority, their aesthetics, they did look cool. I wouldn't mind having that on my Vital Bracelet. Now that I've seen Ghost Game, I adore Gamamon, Angoromon, and Jellymon. And even Jellymon, despite being an aquatic Digimon, I adore that character. So I wouldn't mind having them on my Vital Bracelet. Excuse me, let me rephrase that. I wouldn't mind having these new Digimon from Liberator on my Vital Bracelet, because I have a feeling that more than likely, I'm going to be appreciating the personalities that they interject into these new cast. I say that because if one ever has any experiences with Digimon and they interact with Digimon, then they're aware that Bandai Namco, the writers, do such a great job with characterization, of making the audience really care and feel about the cast. So I am really hoping that in the future we still continue getting Vital Bracelet releases. Sorry everyone if there was noise in the background, if I got distracted. Hopefully you guys didn't hear that, but and hopefully I didn't ruin my train of thought as well. But yeah, those are my opinions for Digimon Liberator. And if one is curious, so this is me being honest as well. I was worried and concerned at first about Seekers ending and what that meant for my channel, because I started my YouTube channel before Digimon Seekers started, and this channel is just a way for me to express my opinions and to share my thoughts, hence the thinking about in the brief reviews. But I'm not gonna lie, I don't have the biggest of growth, but I am really appreciative of the growth that I do have. And it's really cool to have, even if it is a small community, a community of some kind. But I am aware that the majority of those individuals, they came for Digimon. And I just felt a little bit guilty because I felt like, oh no, once Seekers is over, I wasn't planning on like, in my mind, my channel isn't really a Digimon-centric channel because I release 2 videos a week. One is Digimon, obviously, but the other one is sometimes about Digimon. Like this week will both be about Digimon, but sometimes it'll be about a game of some kind or a movie or just an opinion of some sort. And so because of that, I felt a little bit conflicted. Should I convert my channel into a specifically quote-unquote Digimon channel? And I was thinking about going back to the past and like rewatching the previous seasons and giving my thoughts about that. But with the announcement of Digimon Liberator, my plan for right now is I'm going to assume that when Secrets is over, they're going to continue with the weekly format. I'm going to continue doing that as well. Not because I feel obligated to, because I'm excited to read that new cast. I'm bummed that Secrets is going to end, but I'm excited that Liberator looks very intriguing. Because I could be reading Digimon Dreamers, for example, but I'm not reading that just because I'll be honest with everyone, I really don't have any desire to read Dreamers. Supposedly the story is starting to pick up, and by the time Dreamers is over, if I hear that Dreamers had like really great narration with characterization that really helps to flesh out the plot or just to make character arcs feel very engaging, then maybe I'll check it out. But right now, the reason why I have no desire to read Dreamers is just because it's just too light for me. I want something with substance. I am watching Digimon Ghost Game, but I'm not watching like I'm trying to think of like another, like Dragon Ball, for example, right? So although I'm watching Digimon Ghost Game, that doesn't mean I want to watch Dragon Ball or Dragon Ball Z or even, no offense if one is a fan, I hear great things about it, about Applimon. I haven't seen it, but I hear good things about Applimon. Even though I'm watching Ghost Game, doesn't necessarily mean I want to watch Applimon or even Cross Wars, right? Which I hear not so many. I hear good things about Applimon, but I don't really hear good things about Cross Wars. So hopefully that makes sense. I want to read Liberator, not because I feel obligated to, but because it looks really exciting, and the aesthetics of all the cast and the Digimon, they look really cool as well. We should be getting more information about Liberator in January, hopefully. And also a Digimon Con was announced as well, which I'm looking forward to as well. I'm really hoping that we'll get a lot more info about Liberator by the time Digimon Con rolls around. But better yet, that we get more information about Liberator even before then, right? But yeah, so thank you so much for watching. I do appreciate it. What's your opinions about Liberator? Everyone, are you a bit disappointed? But I guess before I stop, I am aware that the community was disappointed in the news because a lot of were hoping that this new Digimon project was going to be an online card game. Apparently, a lot of the popular card franchises have a online component of some sort, where one could play online simulations of the card battles. A lot of fans were hoping that this was going to be the case. Apparently, Bandai Namco has a tutorial. I'm going to assume on their website on how to play Digimon, but that's the only online component they have for their card game. So a lot of individuals were disappointed about that aspect. But again, as someone who doesn't really play the card game, I won't lie. If this didn't have the webcomic portion, the manga portion, Liberator, I probably would be disappointed. But since it does have this webcomic / manga portion, I am again quite looking forward to Liberator. And I'm also really hoping that Bandai is not going to put aside the linker from Sinkers or the Vital Bracelet in real life. But rather they continue with some version of that within Liberator. Thank you so much for watching. I do appreciate everyone. Have a great day. Have a prodigious day, and take care.